The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk in partnership with thechairshot.com, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and in association with NJPW.com. Turnbuckle Talk is sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast. Turnbuckle Talk is also partnered with Phoenix at FNXFit.com, where you get 15% off all your health supplements simply by using promo code TBTalkPod. Follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TBTalkPod. Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you catch your favorite programs. And now, pro wrestling fanatics, are you ready? Here are your hosts, Big Joe and Karl Karufel.
Yeah, it's Mighty Joe Morin back here on Turnbuckle Talk for episode 196, guys. We are 4 episodes away from our 200th episode in about a month. Pretty crazy that we're getting to that landmark, and it's going to be a pretty cool show. I've got something kind of special lined up there, but we'll let you guys know more on that as we kind of get closer to the date. Of course, as always, I have my brother, my partner in crime, Mr. Karl Karufel. Welcome to Turnbuckle Talk.
Not just welcome, but I am here as, well, pretty much usual.
Yeah.
This last few months has been pretty shit for me. And yeah, I'm not going to get into any details, but it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad. And yeah, but I mean, I'm here. I got to move on. I got to live life. I got to continue to do the things that I do. And this is one of the things that brings me just a little bit of joy to my Mondays. And I really hope that even after 196 episodes that we are bringing you a little bit of joy. And as Mighty Joe, we got to change that up now on the intro because, you know, our friend our friend there says Big Joe.
Still saying Big Joe.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, we got to change that up again somehow, some way, somehow, and change it over to Mighty Joe because that's what he wants to be called now, Mighty Joe Morin. So we will get that changed at some point for you guys. But as he mentioned, 4 episodes away from 200. That's a huge milestone. Not a lot of people even make it past 50. And for us to be at 200, I'm blown away right now. So I hope that this episode coming to you brings you just a little bit of joy, a little bit of disbelief from your crap that is going on in your life, and that we can just indulge you and make things a little bit of fun for you.
Yeah, I've been kind of asked about the Mighty Joe Morin thing. For those wondering, I was on Destino a little while ago, and Jargo started using that phrase, and it just kind of stuck, so I just kind of rolled with it. And yeah, I'll have to get a hold of our friend Mr. Richard Bronson Vickery from the Hitting the Marks to maybe revamp that intro. And you know, leading into the holidays, you know, no better time than any for our hashtag RBV Fitness. For those wondering what RBV Fitness is, just go check out his Facebook page and then you'll see what I'm getting at. It actually doesn't involve exercise of any kind.
Yeah, just go to Facebook and use the hashtag RBV Fitness. And yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I love it.
It really, really is. And of course, on Turnbuckle Talk again, returning guest, Mr. Ryan K. Boman from Sportskeeda. Welcome back, sir.
You know, I got to be honest with you guys. When I think of Rick, the last thing I think about is fitness.
Right.
Physically or mentally. But I am rocking an Ohio Bobcats jersey and hat.
Awesome.
In honor of the great RBV this week. So
cool. Well, speak of honoring, we do have to start the episode off in a bit of a sad note before we get to a lot of the positives here. I will pull up the graphic, and I will play the audio, and then we will talk about this. Here we go.
Good evening. This past week, we lost a beloved member of our WWE family, Hall of Famer Pat Patterson. Tonight, we pay tribute to a man
who touched our hearts and inspired everyone through his incredible mind, body, and spirit. Please join us in a moment of silence and the traditional 10-bell salute.
All right, guys, so there we go. Mr. Pat Patterson, just kind of a staple in WWE, you know, for a good portion of time when I started watching. I mean, just somebody that I never really got to see much of his in-ring work, but always just knew that, you know, he was somebody working behind the scenes over at the WWF and then the WWE. I mean, he was a fellow Canadian and somebody of, you know, some very... he was somebody of some significance in professional wrestling, I think, more than especially some of this newer generation really realize. What's your take?
Definitely Karl? Is. I mean, to say that Pat Patterson was a staple in the WWF and the WWE is pretty much an understatement. I mean, it seems as though that forever Pat Patterson had been within the conglomerate of Vince McMahon's corporation. I mean, going back even like pre Vince McMahon Jr. Like, I mean, it just seems like he's been there absolutely forever. And one of those things that you never really saw a bad point with Pat Patterson. Like, you never saw him upset or down or anything like that. I mean, sure, you saw some pretty different stuff coming from him when it came to like Legends House, when WWE did that with a whole bunch of the different legends. You got to see, you know, a little bit of a different side of Pat Patterson, but it almost felt that it was real Pat Patterson, that it wasn't just the on-screen television person Pat Patterson that you saw. You kind of almost, because they tried to make it like reality TV, right? So it really felt like that was Pat Patterson, you know, a guy who had human emotions, a guy who got upset, a guy who loved to laugh and loved to rib and loved to just be life. Right. So, I mean, it's tough, this one here. And then as Mighty Joe says there, you know, fellow Canadian as well. I did find something that was a little bit interesting, and I don't know if either one of you know this or not, but Pat Patterson and this whole first Intercontinental Championship person winning the title in a tournament in Rio de Janeiro, I've come to learn that was actually not true. That the entire thing was fabricated by Vince McMahon Jr., who apparently just loved to hear Pat Patterson try to say Rio de Janeiro. Wow. And got a kick out of the way he said it. So they fabricated this whole thing and put it all together to introduce the Intercontinental Championship into the WWF at the time. I mean, still, he ran with it all the way up until the end. He is still considered and classified as the first Intercontinental Champion. Yeah. And he actually didn't even win it.
Interesting.
I was blown away. We do have somebody who is quite knowledgeable when it comes to these types of things right below us here in Ryan K. Boman, writer for Sportskeeda. Have you heard that, Ryan? And can you give any validity to the story that I just told?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It was fabricated title change. And basically, excuse me, I don't know why my throat is getting all messed up now, but it was just basically a made up story. It was an excuse to launch the Intercontinental title, and Vince put it on Pat Patterson. So that's absolutely 100% correct. And I believe there's actually been a couple times that Vince fabricated that there was a tournament in Rio de Janeiro. I don't know why it's that city, why he picked that. But
yeah, who knows?
My thoughts on Pat Patterson are a couple things. Number one, as a matchmaker, he was brilliant. And his fingerprints are all over some of the greatest moments in WWE history. And then also, one thing that I thought about when he passed, I'll clear my throat at some point. Trust me.
No worries.
But at some point when he passed, I thought to myself, I thought about what a great worker he was in the ring, which a lot of people don't know because they always just seen him as either the matchmaker or one of Vince's stooges and all that. But he was a terrific performer as a wrestler. And also, I think he was a groundbreaker because he was one of the first pro wrestlers to come out publicly as gay and had no fear about it. Yeah. This is who I am. Nowadays, we wouldn't think about that. But in the 70s, people didn't come out of the closet.
No.
And he did, So in a lot of ways, he had a lot of courage in the fact that he was very open about his his personal life. And he was very great as a professional wrestler. He was great as a matchmaker. But I thought that about his legacy, I think, will be one of those things that he had a husband, technically. I don't know if they were ever actually married,
I'm
but,
not sure.
For all those years. And he, that took a lot of guts in 1975 to come out and say, hey, I'm gay. Like I said, we got pro wrestlers now, all, that are completely open about their sexuality and things like that. But that was just not something, you guys know, you grew up in the 80s. That's something that people just didn't do.
No.
They did. And he was not afraid to come out and say, this is who I am.
And what I like about how that went down, I think it helped, given the platform that he was on, Legends House, of doing this. I like that it didn't, because typically when this kind of thing happens, now I have to clear my throat, is that it kind of overshadows everything else that they've done. And that didn't seem to be the case with Pat. So I like that was the case. And I mean, he was just the type to, I mean, you had mentioned Ryan with being the Stooges. I mean, him and Jerry Briscoe almost kind of embraced that at moments, even essentially calling himself the Stooges. But I mean, he was just somebody that, behind the scenes was willing to help all the other talent, just to kind of fine tune things, whether it be their character, whether it be something in the match itself. I mean, he was a very giving person in that respect. And like I said, just my biggest thing to take away from this was the fact that he was able to come out, but not have it overshadow everything else that he's done. That is not easy to do. And I give him, and I also don't do this very often, but I will give Vince and I'll give WWE props as well for doing that in a classy way and not, poking fun out of it and doing stuff like that. So kudos to them for that.
And this just shows you, everybody. I mean, you hear Mighty Joe and you hear Ryan and the clearing of the throats and the kind of. That's the type of impact that somebody that you don't even know, that you just kind of saw and grew up watching, and like that's the type of impact that somebody can leave on you is that you're filled with those emotions, and that they kind of get to you and they grip you a little bit. And like I said, something like this, I mean, is just it's something that's hard to kind of to kind of deal with. There's not too many professional wrestlers that have passed away, whether they were workers, on-screen personalities, whatever it was. There isn't a lot that really kind of choked me up a little bit, but with Pat Patterson, it definitely did, and it's I'm happy for the memories that we have, and I'm happy that we can still go back and watch different stuff that he's done, whether it was with Bobby Heenan, whether with Andre the Giant, whether with whoever it was that he did something with. We still have those that we can go back and watch and have those memories and be able to keep them, watch them, remember them, and be happy by them.
For sure. All right.
A groundbreaker in so many ways.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely,
many ways.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get to kind of the main event for this week, we are going to be talking about War Games. I want to move over to AEW because we saw a pretty significant debut or appearance over in AEW, and we were talking about the Stinger showing up on last week's episode of Dynamite. Before I kind of give my take on it here, I want to hear from our guest here, Mr. Ryan K. Boman. What was your take on Sting showing up on AEW Dynamite?
Well, I thought it was outstanding, but I think it's another it's another example of them bringing in a veteran that you have to use sparingly, like they've done with DDP, they've done with Jake Roberts. I think obviously Sting's in-ring career is over, or probably over. He may have one more match or two in him. But, it's just another way that AEW is kind of like solidifying the fact that we can pretty much bring in anybody we want. And they just brought in, an icon in Sting. They call him the Icon. And I just think that, the debut was awesome. I thought that the reaction, from what I saw on Twitter and, online was amazing. But it'll be up to them to use him sparingly, use him to get over the younger talent. And, whether it's managing them or being in a promo with them or something like that. But, I mean, obviously, he's not going to be a full-time roster member. He's not going to be in the ring every week or anything like that. He'll just be somebody that they're able to use for a few shots and get other people over. And that's the point is, anytime you're around someone like that, it gives you the rub, as they say in the wrestling business, the rub of you're just close to that person, and you're associated with them. And I think that's kind of what the goal is with bringing in Sting to AEW.
What I'm hoping that they'll do, and they kind of hinted at it, was to make use of him alongside with Darby Allin. I think that is kind of a money deal, kind of similar to what Jake has been doing with Lance Archer. Along those lines, when it comes to Sting being in the wrestling ring, given that in the WWE side of things, that it's come out recently that Vince was the one that shot down the potential match between Sting and Undertaker. They need to tread carefully here, and they need to steer clear of this thing that they're doing of poking and prodding Vince and the WWE with this. So use Sting sparingly, like Ryan was saying. I gotta say though, I have no desire to see him in a wrestling match. So if they insist on doing that, I say do something possibly with Chris Jericho, because I think that he'll protect Sting. But other than that, it's a hard no for me. This man, just given the injury that essentially ended his career, I mean, it wouldn't take much to really aggravate that again and then be completely done, or even worse, which we don't want to see. So that's kind of my take. I want to see him kind of in that mentor type role, but I have no desire to see the Sting back in the ring.
And I don't either, to be honest with you. I mean, as much as I love Sting, and especially this look of Sting, the Surfer Sting, sure, it was cool, but all the colors and everything, it was way too reminiscent for me of The Ultimate Warrior, and really trying to kind of just play off of that, right? But then Sting came out with this Crow Sting, and it kind of, he kind of took it on as a persona of his own, and has kept it pretty much throughout the rest of his career that he's had. So I like this look on him. What I'm afraid of, though, is Sting, or Steve Borden. That's his name for those who don't know. Steve is the type of person who wants to give the people everything. Yeah. The guy has a very big heart. He got saved, became a Christian, and he's of that mindset of, I need to do unto others, and I need to help, everyone, and I need to, love everyone, and I need to, if this is what makes them happy, then I have to do what makes them happy, type of thing. And I think, unfortunately, we're probably going to see Sting back in the ring at some point doing something, because that's what the fans are going to want to see. Yeah. And Sting is going to give it to them. And I only say this because if you take a look at ProWrestlingTees.com, they don't pay us for nothing, but no. ProWrestlingTees.com, there's so many different wrestlers that are on there. Within 24 hours, before 24 hours hit, that Sting t-shirt that you saw in that photo was the number one all-time seller for a t-shirt.
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And it has AEW, Sting, the icon, the baseball bats, the mask. It's got absolutely everything that embodies Sting, including AEW on it. And it was the number one ever seller. Sold the most in a 24-hour period. And I think that that's the reason why, because the people want to see Sting.
Sure.
Because Vince didn't allow us to have the Sting Undertaker, people feel cheated. People feel like they were not given everything that they could from Sting. And I think because of that, AEW is going to try to capitalize on that, as well as Sting is going to say, I couldn't give everybody everything that I wanted to. Now I have an opportunity to. And do I want to see it? I really don't, because I have a love for that guy, that I know that if he gets injured even more, that things could go very bad for him, and then we just won't have Sting at all anymore. And I don't want to see that.
No. So we'll see how it kind of goes. You know, I got to wonder, too, what Vince is kind of thinking of all this. Because, obviously, he's paying attention. And I'd be curious to know put my tinfoil hat on briefly and think what Vince McMahon is thinking now that Sting is over there. He's got to be thinking, damn, I lost another one, I mean, as long as, they don't do, bring in Hulk Hogan, we turn on like full WCW, I just don't want to see that. So I know that's getting a little crazy, a little carried away, but damn, it seems like we're taking all these WWE guys, but I like the using him as a manager, but I'm afraid too that you're right, Karl, that he may want to do too much in the ring, and I think that could be dangerous to say the least. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, let's hope not. Yeah. I mean, if he were in, say, like a 6-man tag where he just could get the hot tag, do the stinger splash, put somebody in the scorpion, that's it. Just really quick, maybe 60 seconds in the ring or whatever, then that would be fine. But as far as him working matches, especially with some of the kids and the bumps that they take in AEW, there's some guys in AEW that are reckless in the ring, and I certainly would want to see him in the ring with one of those guys. Yeah.
For our next topic here, just given our time that we're already at here, I'm going to bump something up a little bit, and then we're going to talk about War Games. But first of all, I want to talk about something else with AEW here, and we're talking Mr. Kenny Omega and Don Callis here are going to be appearing on Impact. Actually, if you're listening to the audio version of this, it'll be today. But if you're watching right now, it's going to be tomorrow night. This is pretty wild. This is actually going to tie into a later topic here as well. AEW working closely with Impact. Interesting to say the least. And I'm interested to see what will come of this. What do you think, Karl?
I'm interested to see as well, considering that we know that AEW has kind of reached out to New Japan and tried to kind of do a mix of that as well, like a partnership almost with New Japan, and that kind of didn't really work out too well. New Japan kind of wasn't wanting to have anything of it. AEW was. They kind of pushed. New Japan kind of said, "Hey, back off." No. So it'll be very interesting to see how AEW and Impact come together to work to kind of capitalize on both of the companies and the workers that they have there. I almost wonder if this is kind of a little shot at New Japan going, "Hey, look at what you could have had. Look at what we could have done. But if you still want, come on, we'll still let you in," right? I don't know if that's the case or not, but am I interested to see this? Definitely I am. I mean, I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, Impact, ROH. I don't care what company it is. If you're going to provide me with good professional wrestling, I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
And if they are going to do something that's going to provide me with some good professional wrestling, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I mean, Kenny and these other guys, still have some connections with New Japan, so I don't think that partnership is necessarily off the table by any stretch of the imagination. But Ryan, I mean, you're pretty tight with some of the Impact people there. What do you think about this move, Don Callis bringing Kenny Omega, at least for an appearance in Impact?
I think this will be the highest rated Impact episode in years.
Yeah.
Honestly, because of the intrigue that'll go into it. Nobody really knows what's going to happen next. But I think in this era of COVID, and I know we're going to get into this topic a little bit later, but these companies have to do whatever they can right now to survive. You don't have live audiences. The idea that they're cooperating together, it to me, it makes nothing but sense. I mean, and obviously, and Kenny's got his background. He and Don Callis go way, way back.
Way back.
So it makes a lot of sense that they would do this.
Yeah, I like the partnership too, because they are both Canadians, and I mean Don Callis has the perfect kind of personality to kind of offset Kenny. I really like it, and I'm curious to see how far they'll kind of go with it. So I'm excited to see, and I was thinking suspicioned that Kenny might not be alone when he goes over there. Maybe he'll have some friends with him. Who knows? Maybe the Young Bucks. Be interested to see some tag team stuff there. The possibilities are, I won't say endless, but there's a lot of cool stuff that you could do there. So interested to see. And like I said, I don't think that the partnership with New Japan is totally off the table. And like all three of those combined working together could be something of some significance. But as Ryan hinted at there, that's something that we'll get to later in the episode here. All right, before we get to talking about War Games, I want to take a brief break here and hear from our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
The dictionary defines hero as a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Being a hero in life is far more than words printed on a page. It takes an unwavering code, a compass that points true north always. And in times like these, it takes sacrifice. Hero shouldn't be a word defined by a dictionary. It's a word that should be defined by the best of us. Hero has a new definition.
All right, guys, let me take that down. So, yeah, as you heard from our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com, if you use promo code JKPodcast at checkout, you can get 10% off your entire order there. And, of course, that last little bit there, the Shad Gaspard shirt is actually still up on that store, and it is still 10% of those proceeds do go towards his family to help support them after what happens. So, some really cool stuff there, some great products, and in this case, and in some other cases, some stuff for a really good cause as well. And, of course, on top there, when you go at that checkout, you can actually donate a little bit towards the, try and get this right the first time, the Cauliflower Alley Club as well. You can donate to them, and another great cause there as well. All right, guys, let us get to kind of our main event here for the episode. Let me pull up our graphic. Here we go, and we're talking NXT War Games. Before we kind of break down the matches, because I have some extensive notes here on this one, both good and well, not necessarily bad, but some things I would kind of criticize a little bit. But kind of overall here, let's start with you, Ryan. What did you think, just kind of in general, before we get into the details of the show as a whole? Actually, you did.
As I said to you guys, I haven't got to see a second of it yet.
I forgot. Karl.
And I'm telling you, I mean, and I want to, because I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah.
But it just, that night I wasn't able to see the show. So I've just I've got it saved to watch later.
Sure. Well, we'll hopefully give you some reasons to watch. But you, Karl, and then what did you think, just in general, as before we get to the deets here, the show as a whole? What did you think?
The show as a whole, I think, was superb.
Yeah.
I love that. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it yet. They bookended
the show with the War Game matches. So, I mean, for me, I thought that was fantastic. They had one War Games match at the very beginning, then they had their other matches in between, and then they had the last War Games match at the end. We've seen before with other companies and even with the WWE at times that they'll do them like kind of back to back, and I'm glad that they didn't. They kind of had that excitement at the beginning. They gave us some good stuff in the middle. They had excitement at the end, and it was an all-around good show. I think once again the NXT brand is showing us why they are more popular and more watched than the actual WWE product itself.
Well, it's interesting. I agree with a fair amount of what you said there, but I do have a little bit of a different take. The book ending with the two War Games matches, I'm not necessarily fond on. Just I think this is again kind of the old school person in me. I like the starting small and then working on. I come from the thought process, the Jake Roberts booking 101 school, right? We start low and then we work to our crescendo at the end, right? And what I would have done is the women's match should have been like either co-main event or somewhere in the middle of the show. I feel starting too big at the start kind of burns you out, or just it makes everything else kind of look pale in comparison afterwards, right? So, but again, that's just my thought process, and I'm not saying Karl's wrong. I'm not necessarily right. That's just my personal opinion. I think that starting a little too big too early is just a little too much. But we'll kind of get into that here, because overall, I thought it was.
Let's throw it down to Ryan for that. Now that you've kind of heard how the WWE or how NXT did that, what are your thoughts on the bookending of the two War Game matches as opposed to having them, as Mighty Joe says, there in the middle or co-main events?
I'm kind of in agreement with Joe. I think a card should always start slow and then get faster and then build to the big matches at the end. Maybe that's just because that's the way we all grew up watching, preliminary matches early, and then, you're kind of your mid-card, mid-level titles, and then the world title at the end. That's sort of, I guess, to me, that's always made sense. But, I mean, I, again, have not seen the show, so, it may have worked. They may have pulled it off with that. But I'm just more of, I guess, old school, I guess, on that kind of thing, where I just always thought anytime I was ever in the back or around, guys that were booking, they'd always start out with the smaller guys first, usually, and then you get to the mid-level matches and then the main event. So I don't know. I mean, it again, having not seen the show, I don't want to pass judgment on anybody's opinion here, but to me, it's just, it always made sense for things to, I always thought about it like a dance. You start out slow and then you speed up. And that's kind of the way that I've always thought wrestling should be booked.
So before we get to the actual matches, I will say right off the top, I will give them props, like the entrances, especially for the women. And before the start of the match, they did a really good job with the entrances here. So for the first match, as Karl hinted at there, we had the women's War Game match to kick things off here with Team Candice, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm versus Team Shotzi. So Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai. I'll let Karl give his take here first, and then go with mine, because I have a feeling that he was probably bigger on this match than I'm going to be. I'm not going to be mean, but I do have some heavy criticisms.
It was good. It got me pumped, and that's what I've been looking for. That's what I've been missing out of professional wrestling product as a whole. Even lately, is that I'm not feeling pumped for something. Yeah. And this really just, for me, anyways, for this NXT War Games pay-per-view, it really pumped me up for the pay-per-view, and that's why personally, I was happy with there being the two matches bookend. If it had started out slow, I don't know that I really would have had as much interest, because tends to be the first matches, the slower matches themselves, they kind of there's a couple of mistakes that happen, and I'm gonna notice them, and then I'm gonna be like, this is gonna be crap, and then I'm just gonna turn it off. But this here, I mean, I was okay with. I think the okay. So I'm going to be a little bit hard on something.
Cool.
I believe it was Io Shirai up on the top.
Yeah.
With the garbage can.
Okay,
Dangerous.
and this happened in a few of the matches throughout the night, and I'm just going to put it out there right now to say that I am not a fan of these multi-person big spots that are happening anymore. It used to be that these spots would be able to be fluent. It would just kind of happen. It would be there. It would be like you didn't even notice. Nowadays, you see them all huddling up together. You see them getting ready up at the top or wherever they are to do this big move. You see them, kind of all talking amongst each other and kind of still throwing punches. And then you see them all kind of looking up and waiting and looking up and waiting. And then finally it happens. And then it just totally takes away from the entire thing for me. Anyways. And then to do that with the garbage can, I think, it looked cool, but I don't think that it was even needed. Not needed at all. And that's my biggest, and that's my biggest takeaway from this entire match was that big spot that to me was so terrible.
Yeah. So for myself, I will agree on that too, and that leads to a bit of a bigger problem. But right off the hop, for me, one of my biggest issues with the women's match here and just the characters involved is that all of the roles are reversed. When I'm talking who are the good guys and the bad guys. I know we're not talking with men, we're talking with women, but all of the roles and the characters are backwards, right? So we have Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, the exception in the group here, but especially Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Toni Storm, natural baby faces, not only looks wise, character wise, name wise. When you think of like Candice, Dakota, you don't think bad guy with those names. And on the other side, we have let me pull up the list here. Shotzi Blackheart. That name itself, Blackheart, that kind of insinuates kind of a bad person character. Ember Moon, or Rhea Ripley as well, and Io Shirai, they kind of excel at being heel characters. So for me, just the psychology and the roles are like completely reversed of kind of what they should be. I understand that's just kind of the way that they went with it, but that was kind of my main issue off the hop. The other big one too, and again, this is just somebody who has been watching wrestling for a long time, so this stuff really can't stand out to me. To the casual observer, the usual fan, maybe doesn't pick up on this, but the girls, not so much no selling, but not selling enough of the things happening. The moves happening and then bouncing right back and getting their stuff in, and bouncing right back and bouncing right back. The spot Karl mentioned with the trash can, everybody bounced right back after that within moments. That totally I can't even think of the word. It doesn't feel legitimate because it's something significant that happened, because they're bouncing right back up to their feet afterwards. And just lots of dangerous spots that are really difficult for them to kind of pull off. I think they're asking a little too much from these girls, and it's putting them in danger. And as we're seeing in the aftermath here, Candice LeRae possibly with a broken arm coming out of this. So yes. I think that they're doing a little too much with the girls, which is unfortunate. But having said that, that's pretty much it for the negative stuff with the show. I will say just at the end there was also another spot. Again, this is just the analyst in me. A spot with Candice LeRae and Shotzi. Candice was laying down and Shotzi was going for a move off the ladder, and then Candice actually like repositioned herself and then picked up a ladder and picked up a ladder that she picked up a chair and put it on herself and essentially put herself in more danger. It was a really odd kind of thing. And I think that may have actually been where she got injured. It was strange because it looked very set up, and you could tell Candice was actually like waving for her to come down. I just said that these. I like that the girls are trying here, but the matches still feel too rigid. And like I said, I think that they're just asking a little too much of them, and then they just went all in with a lot of the stuff. They need to kind of ease into the stuff. And they're stuck now. They got to go with that. But just a little too much from the girls. I applaud the attempt at the performances, but just a little too much for the girls. And I'm worried that a lot of them are going to start getting hurt more often. I really don't want to see that. But going from that to a big positive, we're talking Tommaso Ciampa, Tommy Entertainment versus Timothy Thatcher. Karl, this match was fantastic. This is the kind of match I like to watch. This is old school.
Definitely it was. I mean, it was great from beginning to end. It really was, and I was super happy with this match. I tried to find something wrong with it,
And there really wasn't much that I could. I mean, all around, I'm looking like a B plus, almost A type of match. So no, I get it. It was good.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to that match in a little bit. Just your level dropped a little bit there, Karl, but that's okay. Yeah, I'll actually get to that a little bit more, but that was actually one of my highlights for that. And then after that, we had Cameron Grimes versus the strap match. Was pretty wild too. What did you think about? We had kind of an old school strap match here with Dexter Lumis. That's his name. For whatever reason, it escaped me there briefly. But this was pretty wild. I mean, that dude is just like he gets under my skin like in a creepy good kind of way.
Yeah, and I mean, for those of you who don't know, Dexter Lumis, formerly in Impact Wrestling, known as Samuel Shaw, and same thing. I mean, the same character, same type of movements, like everything. And I mean, the guy plays it so well, like to the point where, like, I despise this person. Like I like Mighty Joe said, like creeped out. And yeah, like just so well done. And the match itself, like Mighty Joe says there, like a classic, an old school strap match, just fantastic. It worked out so well, and I was totally happy with it. I was happy with it.
For sure. And just back briefly in the previous match, what I forgot to mention too, what really worked with Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa is at the end, like there was like the stare down between the two guys. Like they didn't take their eyes off each other. And that just psychologically just perfect, and just sets up more potentially in the future. I think that's a really good potential rivalry there as well.
Yep. Just those little things.
Yeah, absolutely done really well. Next up, we had the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship between Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, and the defending champion Leon Ruff. Some interesting stuff in this match. Some crazy stuff. I mean, just kind of went all over the place here. And when old Punishment Martinez from Ring of Honor, now Damian Priest. I mean, when he's involved in a match and when he's talking, I'm usually liking and paying attention to what's going on. This was there's some cool stuff here. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good match again. Did you say his name right? Leo Rush?
Leon Ruff.
Oh, Leon Ruff.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, this isn't Leo Rush. This kid's got a good head on his shoulders. You can tell.
Yeah, the kid does, definitely. Yep. Kind of in the internet wrestling community, a little bit of a inside joke going on there. It seems as though that the WWE brought in Leon Ruff as a replacement for Leo Rush. Very similar looking in size, stature, move sets, different stuff like that. But I mean, a decent worker. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm okay with that. The match itself, I really nothing really stood out to me. Like nothing really stood out too much. Mm-hmm. But it was good. I mean, I struggled to find fault in what happened with that match. But everything else about that match was good. So yeah, I mean, lots of good stuff coming from all three competitors. All three of them are good in that ring, and they worked so well together that you would almost think that they've been doing this together for years, when in actuality they really haven't been. And just it really shows how professional they can be.
My only criticism with this match was the ending. They had the ending. They had it, Karl. They had it in the palm of their hands, and they missed it. That moment when Damian Priest was tied up in the ropes, and Gargano had Ruff in that submission. That's where the match should have ended. They could have done that other stuff beforehand. That would have been the perfect match to set up something further with Gargano and Priest. Right. Yes. That was the moment. But they, for whatever reason, they decided to continue after that. But that was the match ending moment that should have happened. So I felt that the match was fantastic. You know what? I'm still going to call him Punishment Martinez. I don't care. He works great with these smaller guys and creates a lot of movement and space. He does a really good job doing that. But just the ending just slightly missed the mark, so to speak, there. But they almost had it.
Almost. Yep. I definitely agree. Before we move on to the next match, I just want to thank Ryan K. Boman for coming on and being on the show. He private messaged us and he let us know that he's got some stuff with Sportskeeda. They needed to take him away, and definitely Sportskeeda, they get first crack at him. We are just so happy and thankful that he was able to come onto the show with us for a little bit here. And as everybody knows, Ryan Boman has been part of our family for quite a while now. And thank you, Ryan, again for coming onto the show. We really appreciate it. We understand that Sportskeeda has you super busy, and we are super appreciative of not only you but Sportskeeda, and for them allowing you to come on with us for a little bit. So thank you to both Sportskeeda and Ryan K. Bowman. And you all know that Ryan will be back with us again at some point. He loves talking with us, and we love talking with him. So there we go. It's for anybody that kind of noticed, he kind of went away and then now he's gone. That's the reasoning why he private messaged us and let us know that some stuff happened with Sportskeeda that he needs to take care of. So
absolutely, thank
you, Ryan.
All right, man. So the main event for War Games here, we had the men's match. Let me pull up this one, getting the names right here. So we had the Undisputed Era, which of course is Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish versus Team McAfee, which is of course Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan. So with this men's War Games match, I thought that they did. See, I don't want it to come off this way. They did better than the women just because I think that the match flowed a lot better. And I will say that I can't believe that I'm actually saying this, but I'm going to. The big standout performance from this match, Karl, Pat McAfee. You could tell the Rip Rogers training coming in handy here. And the two main things, the one spot I'll leave because you had mentioned, those big multi-person spots, I'm not necessarily a fan of either, but that one moonsault that he did off of the top rope going through the table, that was like one of the smoothest, most perfectly hit moonsaults that I've seen hit in quite a long time, Karl. And just the psychology to just he implements it in the ring, and just the attitude and like that. I mean, this guy's learned from one of the best in the industry, and you can tell it's showing now that this guy coming out of the gate, one of the best promos in WWE right now, and looking pretty damn good in that ring, and making doing less is more. Not lots of crazy spots, but the spots that he did hit was kind of like left me kind of in awe. So congrats to Pat McAfee, a real stand-up performance.
Everybody knows, if you've listened to this podcast before, that back when Pat McAfee first came in, I had no clue who the guy was, so I was kind of critical of him.
Yep.
Definitely I was, but my tune has changed. It definitely has on Pat McAfee after seeing the promo work that he's been doing leading up to this War Games, and now after seeing this matchup that happened. I will mention that moonsault off of the top onto everybody that kind of coincides with the whole Io Shirai with the trash can jumping off. I was not a fan of that at all. It just it for me, it takes away. It's got to be fluid. It's got to look natural to me, and that just did not look natural at all. Even within and I know it's different. I get it, but like within movies, it's natural. It looks natural. They got because they can work the cameras and cut scenes and do stuff like that. Within the professional wrestling entertainment world, like the WWE does, you really have to try to minimize that amount of time that you're having everybody standing below, just kind of not doing anything, looking up, going, okay, yeah, are you jumping yet? Okay, yeah. See if and that takes away for me. But yes, that moonsault that happened, just off of the top rope on like that was fantastic. I was super excited to see that. That was super good. The entire thing, it was good. Yeah, it definitely was good, and it kept me watching as well. I was watching it last night for a bit, and then something happened with my WWE network, and I had to actually go back and watch it today. So I was able to just kind of fast forward through and get to that matchup because that's where it stopped for me. So I was able to just see that matchup today. Super happy with everything, and
I love the fact that they had Pat McAfee going out there and really just grilling the Undisputed Era, going,
Yep.
you guys are nothing. You guys are just bitches. And, you know, we're going to end the Undisputed Era. But yet the Undisputed Era, spoiler alert, wins this matchup.
Yeah.
And kind of sets things up for a little bit more going forward here. I mean, considering we have the NXT Tag Team Champions that were on Team McAfee and the Undisputed Era, you know, who have, you know, kind of been chasing those Tag Team Championships again, kind of makes for some good television. And I think that we could really do a lot with Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. There definitely could be a lot that could happen with those two, especially given what we saw out of all the participants in that matchup last night. There is a world of opportunity for all of them to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love this new catchphrase that McAfee has. It must suck to suck. That's a fantastic line. That's great.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that you mentioned with McAfee and Cole, I think that the actual money rivalry going forward is with Adam Cole and Pete Dunne. That's a rivalry that you could stretch for a long time and make it really intriguing. Those two guys going head-to-head against each other is very, very intriguing to me. I will say, like the triple threat match, I thought that they messed up a little bit on the finish. Cole hitting his finisher, actually hitting two of his finishers, and them getting kicked out of, and then O'Reilly pinning Birch to win the match. I thought it was a little odd, the fact that Cole didn't finish the match there to kind of set up something further. It was just it felt a little out of place to me. Well, not necessarily that we missed the spot, but just that maybe something got changed at the last minute. But just I thought that given the psychology of the matchup to that point, that the finish didn't make kind of sense to me. I mean, still, I think that the right team got over and won, but I just felt that they missed the opportunity to have Cole finish that match decisively.
And you know what? I'm totally on the other end of that spectrum. I'm glad that they didn't have the two team captains or whatever you want to, however you want to say it. I'm glad that they didn't have them finish it because now that's giving me a little bit more of, hey, wait a second. So these two now have unresolved issues because technically they didn't beat each other. So now we have to go a little bit further with this and find out who is actually better, you know. So as a team, sure, you know, Team McAfee, my team fell apart a little bit, and sure, we lost, but one-on-one, dude, you can guarantee it's gonna suck to suck because I'm gonna beat you, right? So it kind of sets that up, and I'm glad that they didn't go with the two main guys of the team, the two team captains, whatever, pinning each other to win that matchup.
Well, interesting. Now we had different takes on that, and hey, that's nothing wrong with that. I still think though that the money program is with Cole and Pete Dunne. Though I think that's almost like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart territory, guys. Or sorry, Karl. That I'm still thinking that Ryan's here, but but Cole and Pete Dunne, I think that is the money program. If you could really do something with that, that would be absolutely fantastic. And we'll see if they can do that going forward. All right, man, I'm going to pull up our next graphic here, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about with AEW working with other companies here. I'm going to pull up Mr. Triple H here, and I actually have the what he said about this, because we're talking about WWE saying that they're open to working with other promotions, and I'm going to read to you what Triple H had to say about this here. We're open for business in a lot of ways and a lot of things. People's thoughts and misperceptions, their perceived knowledge of what we do and how we think is often greatly misinterpreted and not accurate. Are we open to the right business opportunities? Yeah. At any given time, we're open to things. It just depends on what they are and if they're beneficial to us in the long term. When I say long term, I don't mean 3 months. I mean 10 years. Long term, that's how we think. We're not necessarily worried about minute by minutes. Open for business, I think Vince says that a lot, and I've been around him for long enough to know that if it's the right thing and meaningful to business, he's open to anything. Well said, but given that a gorilla position, they essentially have a list of everything that they ban, which includes essentially every other major promotion and a lot of the key players. I got to say, I don't know if I buy this line of what they're saying here, Karl. They're not practicing what they're preaching. At least that's my take here.
I think it's I'm going to use a little bit of a play on words here. So we see that AEW is kind of putting out their feelers and partnering with right now Impact Wrestling and has done stuff with New Japan. I think with right now with the WWE, considering Cody Rhodes in AEW, there's a lot of shall we say smoke and mirrors that is happening within the WWE right now to try to make them look a little better, I guess you could say, to try to make them kind of go, well, yeah, you know what? Like we're open for business as well. We're open to work with anybody as long as the situation is right. And it seems almost as though that entire paragraph just kind of says, as long as it benefits us, we're open for it. Yeah. And if there's one little ounce of something that doesn't benefit us, nope, we're done.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's how it felt. That's how it came across to me anyways. And then Triple H kind of going, kind of knowing Vince McMahon. So it seems like there's a lot of speculation that Triple H is sending out there going, well, I kind of know Vince and I think Vince would probably be open for something like that. Well,
I don't buy it.
Let's hear it from Vince's mouth then, because right now everything just sounds like speculation.
Yeah. It feels completely like just lip service. Well, AEW showing that they want to work with the promotion, so we're just going to say that we are just to kind of make ourselves look good too. But I mean, the casual observer maybe would fall for this, but hardened fans like us here, Karl, we can see through the BS, for lack of a better term here. And like I said, they don't practice what they preach. We know that there's literally, like I said, there's a page plastered or taped to the wall, a grill position that says, okay, you can't say this, can't say AEW, can't say New Japan, Impact, can't mention these people. The Young Bucks, literally, they have like mug shots of them. No, you can't mention them. And these are guys that, and they're saying that, and they're saying that they want to work with the promotions. I call BS on that, flat out. If they want to prove me wrong, guys, to prove me wrong, work with the promotions, have people crossing over. You did it with ECW. You can do it. We know you can. Yeah. And if you're saying that you can, back up what you're saying. But just saying that you are going to means absolutely nothing.
That's right.
I'll just come out and say it, and I hope they prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, guys. It would be absolutely fantastic.
I hope so too.
Right? Would I like to see Okada show up on Monday Night Raw? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not.
Honestly, you take a look, the WWE, SmackDown on Fox. Okay? What other wrestling promotion is on Fox? We're looking Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is struggling. I hate to say it, but Ring of Honor is struggling. I would love to see a crossover of some sort with Ring of Honor and SmackDown, even if it's just SmackDown.
Yeah.
Have a crossover. And because they're both on the exact same network. Work together to make, and I've used the term before, make professional wrestling great again.
Yep.
And that's how you're going to do it. You're the largest conglomerate in the world. Why are you not extending a little bit of your hand? Extend your pinky finger even. Just extend the pinky finger and go, grab onto that, and we'll pull what we can to help you guys out just a little bit so that we can continue to give people good professional wrestling.
Even if it's just little guest appearances, like surprise appearances in the Rumble and stuff like that. I mean, that kind of stuff, you would have some really true mark out moments and have some things to be like, well, you know what? I got a call. Hey, Steve. I don't know anybody named Steve. You got to turn and watch the Royal Rumble. I remember like when stuff like that used to happen, be like, dude, you got to tune in to watch this. That kind of stuff could reignite those kind of opportunities again. Because right now that just doesn't exist. And we are starting to see this over on the other side, but we'll get to that in our final segment for the episode here. But there wasn't too much in breaking, and given that we're going a little bit long here, Karl, I think I'm going to forego our breaking news segment, and we're going to go right towards, let me pull it up, the Match of the Week segment. All right, so for our Match of the Week segment here, we're actually going to start off with Mr. Ryan K. Bowman. Before he did leave, he did send us what he had. I don't know if you saw it here, yes. Karl, but
I definitely did.
I'll let you actually bring it up. What was Ryan's match for the week? Because it was an interesting one.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
Ryan Bowman's Match of the Week. Okay, so first I want to put out there, colorandelbowbrand.com, owned by Al Snow. Mm-hmm. Al Snow as well is is pretty much principal owner of OVW. So right now on colorandelbowbrand.com, you can go and help support OVW by purchasing their OVW 2020 I Wasn't There t-shirt. They have that available over at colorandelbowbrand.com right now. Use our promo code JK Podcast. You'll get 10% off your order for that shirt, as well as help support OVW. And I mention this because Ryan's pick comes from OVW. We're talking this past Saturday at the OVW Christmas Chaos pay-per-view. Brian Pillman Jr. won the OVW title in a cage match.
Nice.
OVW is available on YouTube. So if you want to see, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be available at some point. If not, there's going to at least be highlights that are available. Go and check it out, because OVW is putting out some amazing stuff right now, and they've got some great names down there of people that you probably haven't heard, but have heard kind of their parents, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they have a lot of second, third, fourth generation superstars that are out there in OVW. Go and check that out. That is Ryan's pick for the week, is Brian Pillman Jr. winning that OVW Heavyweight Championship. And if you haven't seen that, Google that championship belt. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the look of that belt. Al Snow, Rod Hicks, I mean, I don't care who it is. Ryan, I don't care. Somebody get me a replica of that belt, please.
Yeah.
That thing is cool. Gorgeous. Yeah. Old school looking. I just love it. But yeah, there we go. Like, go and check it out. That was Ryan K. Bowman's pick of the week before he left and had to go and do his stuff with Sportskeeda before they took him away from us for a little bit of time. He was able to let us know what his pick of the week was, and there we go. So normally Mighty Joe, it's going to take a while to get used to that. Yeah. Mighty Joe has been allowing me to go first for the match of the week. This week, we are going to let Mighty Joe do his pick of the week before I do mine.
Sure. Before I do give my pick, though, I will say, again, with the OVW, some fantastic stuff going on there. And another really cool name over there for those who we mentioned before, Ryan Howe is actually doing some stuff with OVW now, too. And just on the social media aspect, actually just yesterday, he friend requested me and I accepted on Facebook. So I have, for whatever reason, it just happened very randomly. I have right now on Facebook, whatever it is, like the last week or so, I've gotten like a lot of friend requests from wrestlers in the business reaching out to me. So yeah,
that's
who knows?
Fantastic.
We'll see what something can come of it.
Let's see what we can do, and maybe Mighty Joe can work some magic, and maybe we can have some of them on, possibly in the new year, and on as guests of Turnbuckle Talk. That would be fantastic
for sure. We'll see what we can do. So for my match of the week is actually not coming from New Japan or anywhere else this week. So a bit of a different thing there. It's actually coming from WWE, and it is coming from NXT TakeOver War Games. And I am talking the matchup. This was the one that was not for a title or really anything. It was Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. This was an absolutely fantastic match, as I mentioned earlier, and just a good old school wrestling match with great psychology. Both guys selling the hell out of everything for each other, and just great psychology in the end of the match to set things up. It was an old school type of wrestling match done right. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa, they don't call him, tell me, entertainment for nothing, Karl. And Timothy Thatcher is a guy to watch. He doesn't have the glamorous gimmick or anything like that. He's a hard-nosed wrestler who just goes in there and gets the job done, win or lose. He's absolutely fantastic, and I hope that they continue to make good use of him. And of course, like I said, Tommy Entertainment, absolutely fantastic when he goes out there. So those two guys wrestling together it's gold, man. And that was my match of the week.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm going a little bit different this week.
Okay.
And it's something that not a lot of people are gonna kind of understand, but AEW Dark.
Okay.
Alex Garcia, up and comer, has a ranking of 0-2 within AEW right now.
Yeah.
Taking on Leva Bates. For those of you that don't know, Leva Bates in the WWE was known as Blue Pants for a while. Her time down in NXT and just a touch on main roster. But to see Leva Bates going out there, and it's not even as though that this matchup was fantastic, because to be honest, it really wasn't.
Yeah.
But I am loving seeing Leva Bates kind of on her own right now and just working and doing good and really starting to build a name for herself as the only librarian now. Peter Avalon apparently is no longer a librarian.
Interesting.
Whatever. But Leva Bates is the librarian. So to see her kind of take that over, which I think it should have been just hers in the very beginning. It should have definitely been hers. The match wasn't bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, it's not like it was terrible botch fest all over the place. But I've always been a fan of Leva Bates and her in-ring work. Her promo skills could use a little bit of help, definitely. Yeah. But I was happy, and that's my match of the week, only because I'm happy to see Leva Bates starting to get out there and do more and be allowed to do more. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting pick, and I've always been a fan of the character and the gimmick too. I mean, she had the look for it, and it's she's always been really good to. She's always been a really decent worker in the ring, and just the character appeals to a fan like me. I mean, she has the look, and it's you hook in the male wrestling fan with that kind of look, and it definitely has a market out there, and I definitely fall into that category. So she always gets over for me, whether she's just on the mic doing her thing or whether she's in the ring doing her thing as well. So I always enjoyed Leva Bates in the ring, and that librarian character, like I said, well done. I'm a big fan.
Yes.
All right, man, let us take a brief break here before we get to our Showstopper segment. And since we had mentioned them, let us hear from our friends over at Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Hi, my name's Barry Radcliffe. You might recognize me from such films as The Longest Ride or Ted 2. Now, as a successful actor, I have 2 planes, a supermodel wife, countless exotic cars, and a ton of cash. You might think it couldn't get any better than this, but you'd be wrong. For only $4.99, you can get OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. That's OVWWrestlingNetwork.com for only $4.99. Now, will your life be as good as this? No. Will it be better? Yes, and I guarantee that. That's not valid anywhere. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99. Tomorrow's yesterday is today. Prices so low, they're insane. Want more bang for your buck? Well, so do I at OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. It's only $4.99 a month. In between excitement, me too. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99 a month. You get that incredible value. She cost me $17 million, and I loved it. Want a real value? OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. It's only $4.99. That's a price so low. Well, it's insane.
So there we go. A word from our friends over at OVW. $4.99 for a subscription. Like, is a pretty good deal, and like I said, Karl mentioned too that they put out great content, great matches, and done by great people over there. It's a really cool thing that they have going on at OVW, and they've always been able to kind of bring up and kind of work with the up and coming talent as well, and they continue to do it, and they have some of their mainstays there as well, and just it's a great alternative to the other products out there, and I highly recommend it.
Definitely. Before we hit our Showstopper segment for this week, there is some breaking news, and this happened before we went off air, thankfully. I want to say welcome to the world, Rue. R-O-U-X.
Okay.
So to most people, they're not even going to understand, but this was about 11 minutes ago that this was posted. Welcome to the World Rue. Congratulations to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. So, yeah, baby born. Yep. Congratulations from the WWE to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. And Becky Lynch actually putting out there, welcome to the World Rue. You are loved. You are the love of our lives. Hashtag and new is how she put it out there with a photo. Here, I don't know if...
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. That was the photo that was put out there. So, yeah, I mean, that's something great. That's something uplifting that thankfully we can put out there, and Becky Lynch put it out there first, so we can announce it as well on this program. And I'm happy that it's happened, that it came out before we went off the air, because normally all the breaking news happens when we go off the air. So I digress. Let us get to our Showstopper segment.
But before you get to that, I will say though, I'm glad that they seemingly seem to have picked a human style name for their child instead of like Birdie or Doggy or Lamppost or something
Apple.
like that. Yeah. So congrats to them for naming your human a human name.
Yes.
You get props for that one. I just thought I had to throw it in there. All right, let's get to our Showstopper segment. All right, so for our Showstopper segment this week, our topic is... Actually, I can pull up the graphics. I did have something lined up as well. Where'd you go? Maybe I didn't. But we can still talk about it. So we're talking, can AEW's partnership with Impact and New Japan... Can it make them essentially become a powerhouse in business and really give WWE a run for their money? I'll throw it over to you, Karl. What do you think? Is this something that... I wouldn't say looking for this big number 2, which we've always kind of hinted at and talked about, but what do you think about this conglomerate of this coalition, or you want to call it, of these wrestling promotions coming together? Is this something that can really be of some significance, or is this going to be like a short-term fad?
I think it definitely can be of significance as long as it's done properly. If it's just, like a couple, little appearances here and there, then it's just going to fade out, and it's not really going to be too much. And not even that I want to see, not that I want to see the AEW title being defended on, Impact or Ring of Honor or anything like that, because I don't want to see that. The title stays there, but this is going to feel a lot more kind of territorial, where the champion's going to go there. The champion's not going to lose, but the champion is there, and the champion brings along a few other guys that can, put on a good show and allow everybody to kind of intermingle and make for, as we've said before, some good professional wrestling. That's what we're looking for. Yep. We don't care, like all this stupid WWE entertainment stuff that's been happening. Sure, people love it. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that love the WWE. I still like some of the stuff that the WWE does that people don't like. I do. Don't get me wrong. Otis, freaking love Otis. And he's just this big clown of a guy that's in the ring, does this little caterpillar move that he does. And it's a comedy thing. It's entertainment. But I like it. I enjoy it. But to actually see like some professional wrestling happen between different companies will be fantastic. And not that we're looking for that to become all one company and take over the WWE and overshadow, and not at all. Because I've always been of the mindset that I want to see all the companies being able to survive and give us good professional wrestling. That's all I want. That's all I ask for. And if these guys coming together to do interpromotional matches works, and as long as they continue on with it and build some storylines behind them, then I think that it could be a very successful thing in a long-term capacity.
Right. The kind of stuff that I want to kind of see as well is, say, just to kind of throw some examples out there. I want to see, like, say, the Motor City Machine Guns are having a match at Impact, right? You have the Young Bucks come out and just super kick the hell of the Motor City Machine Guns and cause hell and then leave. On the AEW side of things, maybe involving the Young Bucks or whoever again, have Guerrillas of Destiny show up out of nowhere and just kind of run roughshod. A little stuff like that, to set up, like you said, a storyline, to set up some dream matchup scenarios, that kind of stuff would really intrigue me. Have Okada show up and challenge Kenny Omega in AEW or something like that. You have a potential for a lot of really cool dream matchups there. Have Naito show up in Impact, or have, say, guys like Uemura kind of show up and maybe do a match with somebody on AEW or Impact, or just, you have a lot of big pool of talent there, and you can exchange and do some really cool stuff and some dream matchups that we've never seen before, to really kind of get the wrestling world talking. And like I said, to get those moments where you're on your phone, whether it's a call or whether it's a text, to be like, hey, so-and-so, whatever, you got to turn your TV on, you got to watch this now. That's the kind of stuff that I want. Whoever it be, just it's those moments in that engaging of the wrestling community into really getting into watching wrestling in large quantities of people. That's what I'm after. And I think that this kind of movement could help facilitate that, because WWE's not doing it. So these other guys, I'm hoping that they can make a good, legitimate shot at doing it, because that would be really damn cool.
It definitely would be, and I would be very happy with seeing that. Definitely, yeah. I would.
So, yeah, I'm really hoping that they could pull it together. Like I said, just the it's limitless what they could do there, and that's not a Keith Lee reference whatsoever, because we know that he's in NXT now and he won't be able to do any of those kind of stuff. Even though WWE claims we don't work with other companies. Yeah, I want to see you guys actually do it and back it up, and I don't see it happening, especially with Vince still around. All right, man, so I think that about wraps up here for this week. Before we go, do you have anything that you want to plug or promote?
I think we've done everything except maybe Phoenix. Yes. FNXFit.com. We are still, kind of partnered up with them here. You want some health supplements, some workout supplements, visit FNXFit.com. We have a promo code there, TBTalkPod, to get you 15% off your order. Go and check them out as well. And if you're not following us on all of our social media, it's very simple and easy. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TBTalkPod. That is where you find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Absolutely. And just before we do go wrap up for this week here, to kind of briefly promote something, can't give any details, but all we're going to say to you guys, for those who like to watch us and listen and follow and watch and download and whatnot, coming in the new year, all we can say is that we have something new coming for you guys. That's all we can say for the time being, but just rest assured, it is going to be something different, and it is still going to be cool, and it is going to involve us too. And that's all we can say for now, but stay tuned for more information on that, and as we can, we'll give you guys some more info. It's going to be cool. That's all I will say.
Definitely. I think you guys are going to love it.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it. So it'll be very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. I guess that about wraps up here for this week, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
It's me. It's an order to be. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows we have. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.
flickers of the cannon fire. Its hands raised like a gospel choir. If we live forever, let us live forever tonight. Helicopters against the moonlight, our holy mother of the midnight. And if we live forever, let us live forever tonight. Cannon fire, its hands raised like a gospel choir. If we live forever, let us live forever tonight. Helicopters against the moonlight, our holy mother of the midnight. And if we live forever, let us live forever tonight. Flickers of the cannon fire, its hands raised like a gospel choir.